Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show, and it's always a great time for us to have insightful talk shows here on the show. But before we begin our first talk show of the day, I would like to ask you, do you remember during the pandemic when we were all kind of stuck at home?
Right.
And people were trying to find things to do.
Yes.
There were new hobbies sprouting up. Did you have one? Did you try any of these new trendy hobbies that...
I did. I built a gym in my house.
Okay, yeah, that
that's
was one. That was
right?
one. Yeah, people
and then I followed like a lot of my friends starting to kind of like plants. Because you go to like a store where there's a lot of like seeds, you know, like flowers, and then like vegetables and whatnot. I tried to. Nothing popped up.
Literally.
Yes. So
yeah,
like,
I saw a lot of that too. Like I thought that it was great because people found it therapeutic, but also they were beautifying their homes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, I can't go anywhere, but still go on the ground.
And most importantly, during the pandemic, it gave us a feeling of having a balanced life again.
Yes.
Having a balanced life is actually still a dream of many. And for many urbanites, having a home garden could be the key to achieving it.
I love to cook, by the way, and I would want to have like cook with my own herbs, right?
Yep.
Something that I would love to do, hopefully.
Grow your own.
Grow my own herbs, not just buying the seeds. Now, joining us this morning to offer her insights on this topic, I'm really excited for this, is Siti Soraya Cassandra, known as Sandra, Kabun Kumara CEO and co-founder. Hi, my Sandra. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, you know, if you listen to our stories, why do you think the plants are now blooming up?
I'm sure you just need a little. They need a little more attention from
you. A little more love.
Maybe because you're busy. You're news anchors, right?
That explains why my wife is better with plants than I am. She's amazing at it.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about balanced living, and how. Can you tell us a little bit more about your definition of balanced living, and how important it is for us to know more about our own lives?
Well, for me personally, I try to define it as calibrating between self-care, so taking care of yourself, social care, how you spend time taking care of others, and then earth care, you spend time taking care of the environment. But ultimately, I think the first step is self-care, right? If you're a little more selfish and you take care of yourself, then you can be a little selfless along the way. And I think when you talk about self-care, you always talk about how you can achieve balance in you achieve you're physically fit, you're psychologically fit, you're spiritually connected, you're socially connected with others, you're cognitively stimulated. And I think a lot of people, especially because we mentioned urbanites before, I think when you live in the city, you get so hyped up with the hectic schedules, with the
rat
traffic,
race,
the rat race, everything, right? And so you forget to recenter yourself and have time for yourself to think about other things beyond your daily burdens. I think that's where nature comes in, because we've evolved with nature, right? Humans have always evolved in and with nature. So a relationship with our land, a relationship with soil, with plants, it's something innately within our system, in our DNA. So I think being detached from that is actually more detrimental to us. And right now, I think you probably have heard the term healing, slow living, and people see sort of nature as a leisure activity, when actually it's an investment. Like when you spend time with nature, you're investing in your health, right? You're investing in balanced living. I think when you live in the city, because we're so detached from nature, it's not even around us, we're not exposed to it, it's very limited, it's not there, then we need to find ways to have that exposure in our daily lives. And that's why in Kabun Kumara, we try to expose people through reconnection with nature, through gardening, because anyone can grow a garden actually at home. If you have access to sunlight, if you don't even have a plot, you don't have balconies or rooftop, if you have access to sunlight, you can grow food there, basically. Right? So I think having a garden at home, even having a few indoor plants at home, it actually exposes you to nature in ways that, you know, when you take care of it, it takes care of you back.
Right? Yeah.
It literally breathes life because it provides oxygen. That's the main part of it. And I remember during the pandemic, we also found out that there was this phenomenon where pandemic babies were kind of developing at a slower rate than what they normally used to. And one of the treatments would be, and I found this out, was connecting with nature again. So my son had to go to therapy, and they said, you know, before you even do that, take him out to, when you can, because it was, at one point it wasn't safe to go out, but when we could go out, they said, please take him to a park or take him to a beach, take him to feel things and see plants and the sky and the air.
Yeah, natural stimuli, right?
Yes, correct.
You want them to have sensory stimulation.
Right.
And the ones that's best calibrated with the human body is nature, right? So it just makes sense,
Going back to nature. Well, You know, we can say that in Jakarta is one of the city that is lack of nature because we see any other, you know, big cities around the world. I mean, you have parks, you have like nature walks and whatnot. You can go hiking in the canyons. That's not something that we're familiar here with, right? So, but you started this actually before the pandemic. You started the Kabun Kumara in 2016. So what really stimulates you, you know, to have Kabun Kumara?
Well, I was actually, it was a personal journey. I thought that living in the city really disconnected me with nature, and I thought this is just absurd, right? I mean, why can't we live alongside? Why can't we have alignment? Why do we have to go, like, why do I have to go to Yogyakarta or to Bali or to Maluku to experience nature? Why can't I have that in my daily life? So it was sort of like a process of me taking back what I thought was an important aspect of life that has been, in a way, eliminated from, the urban life. And so I thought maybe a lot of people out there also feels this way when they live in the city, right? They're searching for nature and they don't have maybe the resources or the time to actually leave Jakarta and experience it elsewhere. So why not we grow it here? And from there I explored the many elements of growing your own food and how you can have a better and more intimate relationship with nature that way. Because it's not just a one-way interaction, right? When you're nurturing a plant, it's actually a two-way sort of, it's an evolving relationship. I mean, the plant,
it's like you and your spouse.
Yeah, it's like you and your spouse, your family, or your child. You have to take care of it, and it has its own cycle of life. Sometimes it fruits, and it flowers, it fruits, and then it dies. You have to resow the seed. So it teaches you so many things about life as well, right? It takes you, it recenters you with things that actually matters, about process, about patience, about about surrender, because a lot of things are outside of your control. Things that aren't even in the mindset of us living in the city, because we like things instant, we like progress, we like results. And I think when you're with nature, you sort of recenter and you sort of get the bigger values, the more meaningful values of life. And I think you get that if you were able to do it every day. You sort of get that under your skin, right? So it goes into your unconscious. You sort of breathe it every day, and then it just makes you stronger to live the hassles of
you just unlayered
here
unlayered plants, just like how about life. And I'm struck right now. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and what's amazing to me is that you actually started this. So Caroline mentioned 2016. So this wasn't like a trendy thing at the time. And people were not as self-aware as they are now, that they do need to be connected more in nature. So what was it that triggered you at that time? Was it a personal thing?
It was a personal thing, but also I was looking for an outlet to something else to pursue in a way, but something that would give me also financial security. So I did work 9-to-5 jobs. I worked in organizations and corporate and whatnot. And I just wanted to switch quadrants. I just wanted to start my own business. And I didn't know what it was going to be about. But then I remembered that I had this passion for nature, and I wanted to have that in my life as well. So why not just marry the two? And so I started Kabun Kumara.
So did you always have a hobby? Was this always your hobby? Like, did you always have a green thumb?
Not really. I started growing in 2016. So when I started Kabun Kumara, I started growing. So before, I was more of I had this bucket list every year. I have to climb one mountain or go to one beach or something like that. But it was never reintroducing nature in my space. It was always
going to nature.
Yeah. And then I sort of thought it's high investment, right? You have to have the savings, you have to have the time. It's not sustainable in a way that you can't do it every day. So I just thought of what can we do it in a better way, right?
So interesting.
But some people are not like you, let's say. I mean, to be like in your level, we would love to have that. But there are some people that needed help. Is this something that Kabun Kumara can also help to have that first milestone or that first step first?
Yes, definitely. So as a business, we provide two services: education. So we provide workshops, we provide curriculum programs for people to get started in gardening. And we also provide edible landscaping services. Because we believe that sometimes, we are creatures of habit, obviously. So if you start a habit, then you get used to it and you keep on doing it. But sometimes people need a nudge, right?
Of course.
And when you design the landscape in a way that motivates you to actually nurture the plant, right? It's much easier. So when you have the garden, obviously you'll garden because the garden is there. So a lot of people want to start with that first. So we help them that way as well.
I would want that.
That's a good idea.
It's a nice garden. I don't want it to
I would not know where to start. Absolutely.
And it's an investment. Like a garden is an investment.
It is an investment because you can grow food, you can grow your herbs, and if you think about it, when you cook, like when you go to a supermarket, you go and you buy, say you buy ginger.
Okay.
Or you buy lemongrass. They sell you in bulk, right?
What am I going to do with this?
Exactly. And you have leftovers, you put it in the fridge, and you forget about it,
Yeah.
and they become food waste. But when you have a garden, you just take what you need. So you have your own living, breathing supermarket, right?
And then when you're eating from your own grown food, it's more meaningful for you.
It is. It is.
Is that sustainable? Like even if you have a small garden, because we've always thought about doing that. And I always told my wife, you know what, don't bother because I'm just going to finish it all in a week anyway, and you won't be able to grow, you won't be able to keep up with my intake because I love my vegetables, I love my fruit. Is it sustainable to live in a city like this?
I think it depends on the perspective. If you want to grow food for subsistence, say you would just want to eat from your garden, I think that would be very difficult because the amount of space won't be enough.
Sure.
And in Kabun Kumara, we never really encourage people to grow food so that you can just sustain on your own.
Right.
I think that would be like suicide because you want to still be connected to farmers, you want to support the local system, you want to you want to support the local food systems, right?
Sure.
You want to help small businesses as well. So I think the gardening part is more about how you introduce that sort of lifestyle to your family. Right, so it's about creating another habit. It's like you would exercise with your child, right? You would take them out. You want them to have sunlight. You want them to touch the soil. You want them to have the sensory benefits. So why not grow a garden? So it's just like another.
So it's more the activity than the result.
Yeah, it's like the gym, but then there's the garden as well. So it's
You know, my daughter, she's almost 2 years old this 5th of May, and she loves gardening. I mean, she likes to like water the plants and everything.
See,
So I like to buy, she water the plants. But I learned something from her. It seems that even though she couldn't talk yet and whatnot, but like it seems that she's enjoying that. That's like her me time. Like in the morning when she wakes up after eating breakfast, so she water all the plants that we have. Yeah. So it's good that probably that I could learn from my my daughter too.
Yeah. We're always learning from our kids. So let's talk a little bit about Kabun Kumara and its impact so far. Do you have an idea right now as to how far your reach goes as opposed to in regards to how much your community has grown, and what has the impact been like for you, like the feedback from those that have started out, perhaps you've landscaped somebody's place and how they are now, how well they're taking care of it, and how much it's changed their lives.
Right. So definitely when we started Kabun Kumara, we aimed for it to become a social enterprise, right? So we really wanted to have meaningful social and environmental impact. But I mean, that's easier said than done. Obviously, as a business, you have to sustain the business first, you have to have a healthy cash flow and whatnot. But I think that the greater dream is to really, to make it like a norm, right? Like during the pandemic, it's a trend, right? To have like a Monstera plant in your house. But then the thing happens with trends is that it's a boom and bust, right?
Yes.
So it just goes away. But if you can turn it into a norm, for instance, like why do people now brush their teeth every day? It becomes a norm. You know it's good for you, it's hygienic,
You don't
it's
even
healthy.
think about it.
You don't even think about it. So why can't people take care of nature for 15, 20 minutes a day, for instance, right? And research has clearly shown, consistently shown that nature, it's nature fix, nature therapy. If you spend 15 to 20 minutes just every day with nature, you walk with nature, you walk around nature, you just you water your plants, you sow something. It's actually very good for your overall well-being. It's good for your physical health because when you're outdoors, you get the sun, you sweat. It's very meditational as well. A lot of people feel spiritually connected to the greater being when you're out with your plants, when you're out in the garden. It's good for your psyche. A lot of people feel like it alleviates loneliness, anxiety, depression even. So people use that in therapy as well. And especially for young children, when they're bombarded with all the stimuli from the urban city, they get all this sensory
overload.
It's sensory overload, right? When they're in nature, it recenters them.
Neutralizes.
It neutralizes everything. So it's really good for them. And I think the greater dream is to have more green landscapes, obviously in the city. We want to be able to play a hand in that, and to have more people just doing it. Just interacting with nature. It's not enough. You just go in nature and just look at it. You want to interact. You want to have a relationship with it, right? So I think the greater dream is to have an impact that way.
And you also talked before about the workshop. Can you elaborate more? Let's say, what would be the subject be? Is it more of a what to do and what not to do and what not? So then people can have, their plants to be grown in their house.
Right. So we have an area of workshop topics. Basically, like basic gardening, of course. We have basic gardening for beginners. We have a composting workshop. We have workshop about plastic. We have workshop. So it's the bigger umbrella theme would be sustainability, basically, or like just like eco lifestyle, everyday lifestyle. And we tend to different market segments. So we have like the schools, we have the private companies, we have their employee volunteering events, we have CSR events that we cater to, and then we have the general public. So we have all these monthly workshops, and they can just enroll and register at our classes. But what we really like doing from the start is because I'm still learning how to to be a businesswoman, I guess you could say, right? I mean, of course, you want to run a business, obviously, because you want to sustain yourself. But I come from a place where I do lots of social work, in a way. So at the start of Kabun Kumara, everybody thought we were just a community organization. They didn't think that we were a business because we always have volunteering events. So we would have like, help us grow our forest, help us grow food for us, help us grow the garden. So we would have like just people coming and be volunteers. And I thought that was a very lively beginning that led us to understand that people in the city is actually yearning for this type of experience.
Right.
Yeah, so we want to do more of that. So to balance the business with impact, right? So
yes.
Have that as well.
So since we're on the topic, as somebody who is basically championing for sustainability, is it possible to achieve that in a city like Jakarta? Especially, like, what advice would you have to give to somebody who perhaps doesn't live in a home that has a garden and maybe lives in a little apartment and you know, they're trying to make a difference for themselves as well as the environment?
Right. I think sustainability to be honest, I think it's a butchered word, right? In a way, people
use it a lot.
Yeah, people use it a lot. People sometimes they also misdefine it. Sometimes they don't understand it. I think you have to contextualize, right? Obviously, for someone who works 9 to 5, someone who's at home, or someone who works a business from elsewhere, who's very mobile, that plays out differently. How you want to be sustainable, right? So I think some people choose public transport. Some people choose, to not have food delivery to their house. They eat out, stuff like that. So some people choose to just really cook. I think it plays out differently. But I think what matters most is about the understanding of knowledge building and understanding about things are happening. We are in a climate crisis, right? So we just need to do just little things consistently in our daily lives just to help out. Yes. That issue, right?
Totally.
In a way.
And definitely, I think it's another new perspective also. Like let's say for me, I have a cactus that's been at my house for 3 years. Rather than I'm saying, wow, they're still grown, maybe I could just say thank you to those cactus. Because, you made it a little greener in my house, or making my home a little homier and whatnot. And if you see that kind of perspective, then you would fall in love more with nature and thanking them as opposed to as a prop for your home or inside your house and whatnot.
Not just for the gram.
Right, yeah, not for the gram, because it is a living thing.
Yeah.
All right,
Cassandra, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You brought up some really good points there, and I hope that some of our viewers are able to implement that in their daily lives as well. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Good luck to you and Kabun Kumara. You guys want to find out more? Check out Kabun Kumara and make your lives a little bit greener.
Love that. All right, we're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we'll have more updates from around the world. Stay tuned. The way that you talk